ever grateful to you. Maharaj has traveled extensively in Bangladesh. He used to live in Kolkata using the Indian bathroom in 1978. So, and Maharaj has a PhD on Vaishnava Shastra, right? From University of Pennsylvania. So, it's been a really journey, and he's like a role model for many of our Swamis back home in Bangladesh. And he is loved and known to every single Swamis in Bangladesh as well as in the order. So tonight we will hear সংসারে কি করে থাকতে হয় ফ্যামিলির সঙ্গে, how to live in a family life peacefully.
Don't be shy. I'd like to have some little interaction here. What does it mean to have an adarsha? Everybody knows the word, huh? You all know the word.
There's something like we can follow, that is something
okay.
perfect.
In English we'll say ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what does it mean to have an ideal in life? It's partly theoretical. That we have some ideal, something we hold up to be the best way to live in the world, that it gives us some guidance in life, it gives us a goal in life. So we call this the ideal. Sometimes we see this ideal in other people, and we pay our reverence to other people because they live up to a very high ideal. Now, what is the real purpose of an ideal? To follow it. If we have a very high ideal in life and we don't try to follow it, then it won't do us very much good. We have another word in Bengali, chanch. What does that mean? Prakash.
Chanch?
Yeah.
Chanch means sujog. Sujog. Charm.
Charge.
Chanch.
In West Bengal. House of Charge. Okay. Okay. This is what Thakur, he refers to himself. That he says, I've left this mold for you. Now, you kids know what a mold is. If you want to make something, say you want to make a statue. What they'll do is they'll take clay, and they'll make the statue out of clay, and then they'll put some hot rubber or something over it, and it melts. Then you take out the clay inside, and you have a mold. And if you pour anything into it, you want to make it out of bronze. You pour it into that, and then you take it out, and it comes out exactly the same. So Thakur referred to himself that way, and Holy Mother, that they left for us a mold. That means an ideal. So we have to pour ourselves into that mold, into that ideal. Now, what is the ideal that they left for us? We have to think very clearly about this. There are many different aspects to this. Thakur has his own special message for that. Holy Mother, Swamiji also. What is Swamiji's ideal? He says, I can sum it up in a very few words. Do good and be good. Do good and be good. He says this is the whole of religion. And he says be unselfish. This is the most important. God is unselfishness. Be unselfish. And what does Thakur tell us? Renounce everything for God. And that means don't give up everything, but do everything dedicated to God. That this is the highest goal of life, to realize God, to devote one's life to a high ideal. This is the highest thing that we can strive for in our life. Now, what did the Holy Mother say? There's a statement that we hear from Holy Mother, Shojjo tulna gun nei, Santosh tulna dhon nei. That there's no greater virtue in life than forbearance. And there's no greater treasure in life than contentment. Now, we have to be able to put these things into practice. And we had a conversation earlier today that the very curious thing that happens sometimes is that we can put these things into practice. Unselfishness, love of other people, within the community, within friends and all of that, but we don't do it within the family sometimes. It's a very curious thing. We'll be very unselfish with regard to other people. With our own family members, we won't be so unselfish. So we have to put these things into practice in every aspect of life, within the family, then within our circle of friends and everything, and then within universally. Sri Ramakrishna makes a distinction between Maya and Doya. What does Maya mean? Yes. Compassion. Maya can mean love, compassion. It means that, but it comes with a little footnote, that it comes with a little attachment. So if we have Maya for someone, we have some love for them, but we also feel attached to them. And it means we somehow like them more than we like other people. So sometimes say a little baby will be born. Rishi Dev. Huh? Then where is Rishi Dev? Then we form some Maya. That we want to be the ones to have them sit on our lap. That this little Maya comes. So Maya is not a bad thing. It is love with a little attachment for our near and dear ones. But at the expense of others. That means we don't care for other people's children that much. So Sri Ramakrishna says we need Daya. Daya means that same Maya but for everyone, without limitation. So we have that same love and respect. Show honor to everyone equally, whether they belong to our community, whether they speak the same language, whether they have the same religion, doesn't matter. We show that same love and respect to everyone. Whether they're very wealthy people, very poor people, it doesn't make any difference. Some of you may have met Swami Lokeshwaranandaji. Anybody? Lokeshwaranandaji? Okay. Only one. No one else. Swami Lokeshwaranandaji, he was a disciple of Mahapurush Maharaj, Swami Shivanandaji. He was in charge of the Institute of Culture in Gold Park for many, many years. He influenced many of our great Swamis, the Swami Swaminandaji, Swami Aksharanandaji, Swami Parabhanandaji. All of them came under his spell, you can say. Before Narendrapur was started, he started this Partoya Gata, this students' home. Mostly this was for refugees from the East Bengal after partition who came to West Bengal. So we started that and it grew into this huge institution we called Narendrapur. Now the specialty of this Swami was that he showed equal respect to everyone. I noticed this very clearly. He was very good friends with one Chief Justice Rai, the Chief Justice in Kolkata. They would have tea together every morning, go for walks, very, very good friends. Very highly respected person. And he also had one sevak, one attendant. His name was Ganesh. He was one of the workers at the Institute of Culture. If you were outside of the room and you heard Swami Lokeshwaranandaji speaking, you wouldn't know if he was speaking to this really servant boy, you can say, or to this Chief Justice. He spoke to everyone with the same respect, that same love. This is called an ideal. Now we may respect it in somebody else, but we have to try to do it ourselves. This is called the ideal. So Holy Mother, she emphasized several things. One, as I mentioned, is forbearance. Titiksha, this satya shodjo. This forbearance means that we can't change everything in life. We do our best to make things run smoothly. We go to the doctor if we have to. We take medicine if we can. But we're going to have to face difficulties no matter what. Some things can't be prevented. So what do? We learn to forbear. We learn to patiently put up with everything. And this means that we don't have tremendous anxiety, we don't worry, we don't complain, that we don't try to fix every little problem. Sometimes we just have to get used to things. Swami Atmajnanandaji used to tell a story. There was a man who suffered very much from some condition, some back pain, something like that. He suffered very much. He went to all the different doctors, and nobody could do much for him. And finally he went to a fortune teller. And he said to the fortune teller, "How much longer will I suffer from this condition?" So she had this crystal ball. She looked into that crystal ball. She could see into the future and everything. And she said, "You'll suffer for another 10 years. And he said, "Oh, only 10 more years." He said, "And after that?" She said, "After that, you'll get used to it." So this is our condition, that not everything, we can't expect everything to get cured and solved and everything, but after some time we have to learn to get used to things. And we have to learn to practice this type of forbearance, because life will never be 100% smooth. The Holy Mother says in one place, "Dehu dharon kolle dukho koshto habei vidhata o komata nei e virod kote." God Himself cannot prevent it. God Himself cannot prevent it. As long as we have the body, something will happen. I was seeing today one of our great Swamis. We knew him as Devu Maharaj. Devu Maharaj was the kindest, most loving sadhu. What did he ever do in his lifetime for him to suffer at the end? But he suffered at the end, with great patience and forbearance. And we don't know why the suffering comes. There are two ways that we learn things. We learn things, sometimes people will tell us, "Don't do this, you'll get in trouble," and everything. And we see other people, we see good examples, and we learn that way. They say, "Don't stick your finger in the fire, you'll burn your finger." So we say, "Okay, so I'll never do it." There's some, the only way they'll learn it is by sticking their finger in the fire. So sometimes Mother has to make us go through all of these things till we get rid of this attachment and this false hope that this life will be perfectly smooth and easy. We have to learn to forbear and put up with things. And then, if we can get the santosh, what does that mean? Somebody has to answer me. I can't keep asking. Okay? Now, suppose everything is nice and pleasant, and then one day it's not. Will we be dissatisfied that day? So we need this contentment has to be a state that is not dependent on any external things, that it's a condition of the mind, this contentment. Now it has two sides to it. From a worldly point of view, if we look at our lives and try to figure out why do we have frustration, why do we have anxiety, why do we have unfulfilled desires, it's all because of a lack of contentment. And because of that, we're always running after things. We always want more. We can never satisfy ourselves. Everything is just beyond our reach. Swamiji has a poem. He says, "Ever running, never reaching, nor even a distant glimpse of shore." So this contentment comes when we're satisfied with whatever we have, whatever comes to us. Now, does that mean we don't strive for things? No, we strive for things. We don't want to have no goals in life. If we're starting out life and we want to have a successful family, successful career, we have to work very hard. We have to strive for that. We do our best. But after doing our best, whatever comes, then we're satisfied with that. Now suppose we study for a test, and we get mediocre grade. Well, we get 80 something. We were hoping for something better. We accept it. We won't be fully content if we think that we could have done better. If we think we could have done better, then we know next time we'll study harder, and we'll try, but if we do our very best, and we know we did our very best, there was nothing more that we could have done, then we say, okay, the mother's will, and then we're content. So contentment, it has to do with just having that feeling that what we've been given is enough. If we think that how many people there are in this world without a roof over their head, how many people have no food or starving, and then we realize that we're not wealthy people, we don't live in a palace, we don't have fancy cars, we may not have all those things, but we have enough. We have enough to lead a nice, comfortable life. If we're not happy with that, if we're always thinking, oh, if only I had more, then whose fault is it? Our own mind. This contentment belongs to the mind, our own mind. So in family life, we have to learn a little bit of this putting up with the difficult situations, trying to fix them if we can. There's something called the serenity prayer. I don't know where it comes from exactly, but it's a very nice prayer. That anybody know it? No. It says, Lord, teach me to accept the things that I can't change, to change the things that I can change, and to know the difference. It's a very nice thing, huh? If there are things that we can change, say we see that there's poverty in the world, can we do anything to help? A little bit. We won't get rid of poverty completely, but we can do a little bit to help. If we see somebody suffering, can we help them? Yeah. If we can, then we do it. If we have our own condition, we go to the doctor and we can take care of it, we do it. If we can't, then we accept it. We accept it. Now, Thakur talks about taking the attitude of the kitten. This is one way to practice what he calls Sharanagati. Sharanagati means taking refuge with the divine, refuge with the mother, seeking shelter, practicing surrender, practicing acceptance. If you've ever seen a baby kitten, the baby kitten, when it's too young to even walk around, how does it go from place to place? Did you ever see when the mother cat will come and with her mouth she'll take the back of the neck of the kitten and carry it that way. And wherever the mother cat puts the kitten, the kitten feels this is the best place for me. So the kitten has its perfect contentment. Sometimes it may be on a soft bed, pillow of the master's room. Sometimes it may be in the ashes in the fireplace. Sometimes it may be outside in the hard ground. But the kitten feels, my mother put me here, it's the best place for me. So the kitten has perfect contentment, perfect acceptance, and not just feels that, oh, I have to practice forbearance, this horrible thing has happened, but somehow this is the best possible thing for me. This is called an ideal. And we have to practice this, and we practice this within the family life, we practice it with our job, we practice it in every aspect of life. So this type of contentment, and one reason we practice contentment in family life, worldly life, is because real focus should be on God realization, on giving this life to some higher type of ideal. We have this family ideal, then we have this other ideal, which Thakur emphasizes, that the ultimate goal of life is to develop love of God. If we're devotees, the highest goal of life is bhakti. The goal of bhakti yoga is bhakti itself, to develop love of God. For the jnani, highest goal of life is to find out what is our real nature. So we have some spiritual goal in life. There we can have a little bit of discontent. Now, what does discontent mean in spiritual life? Vakuluta. Vakuluta means we have intense yearning and longing, restlessness for God. See, this is the curious thing. Restlessness in our worldly life is a horrible thing. It prevents us from ever being content. If we're always restless, we always want something else. We're never content, satisfied. But in spiritual life, restlessness is that catalyst. Restlessness is what leads us to any type of higher realization. Sri Ramakrishna says in Vakulata that this is the final stage before we have the vision of God, before the highest realization. This tremendous longing for God comes. So we want to have both of these. Restlessness for God and contentment within the world. And contentment means that we put up with things because they're not so important to us. And these things that we look upon as great obstacles and hurdles and all things we want to avoid in our family life, they may be great aids to us in spiritual life. They may be the things that teach us the lessons that we need in spiritual life. Because what is the purpose of householder life? You know, we have these 4 stages of life. For the Grihastha, what is the aim of life for the Grihastha? We have 4 aims of life. Dharma, Artha, then Kama, then Moksha. For the Grihastha, specifically Kama and Artha, based on Dharma. So Dharma will be the first stage of life. We have to learn what does it mean to lead a good, holy, spiritual, moral, ethical type of life. Then, householder stage of life, within the limits of Dharma. That means we can't do anything unethical, immoral, we can't do anything that will harm anybody else, but we get to enjoy life as much as possible. We get some artha, that means we can accumulate wealth, we can have a house, we can have cars, we can do all of these things. Kama, we have some desires that we want to fulfill. We try to fulfill all of them. Why? What's the purpose of all of this? To go beyond. To realize that fulfilling all these desires is endless and it's not what it's supposed to be. To realize that this is not the goal of life. So that we're ready to practice the final 2 stages of life, the vanaprastha stage and the sannyas stage. That means that we're ready to give up, to lead a retired, simple type of life, turn the business over to the kids, however we think about it, and realize that, yes, I played my role in this life, I raised a family, I served the community, I made enough money so that we all had enough to eat, led a good life and everything. Now it's time to strive for something higher. So we leave this artha kama behind us at that point, and then we practice this perfect contentment. Then whatever comes to us, we're happy. Sadhus practice this 100%, and not this type of sadhu, the wandering sadhu in India who lives under a tree, goes from place to place, has no roof over his head. They practice this. What Thakur says, like this Aintu Bhata. Like this when they have these big bhandaras outside, they'll have a banana leaf, and they'll some other type of leaf, and they'll serve the khichdi and everything, oil, dal and rice, and then everyone will leave it there. After a while, everything dries up. The leaf becomes very dry, and when the wind comes, it blows it anywhere. So he says, live in the world like this type of dry leaf. Wherever it takes us, that means our karma, or Mother's will. Wherever it takes us, we're content. That's all. We're content. So we do our effort, we strive, we try to be successful in everything, we accept whatever results come, and then we go on to a higher stage of life. Now in spiritual life, we have to practice a little bit of contentment also. This contentment comes when we feel that we've done everything we can, everything that we have to do to realize God. That means that if we've taken dikha, and then we know that we have to do our japa, we do our prayer and everything, if we feel that we very sincerely have practiced, and we follow all these teachings, these ideals, that we've done our very best, then a certain type of contentment comes. I've seen among monks of the order, sannyasis, at the end of life, that there'll be some who have regrets. There'll be some who at the end of life say, I wasted this opportunity. I really could have spent more time in meditation. I could have been more serious in my spiritual life. Then we have others at the end, perfectly content. Whatever they get, they feel is grace. They know that they did whatever is possible. In football, they say, well, we left everything on the field. Right? That we didn't hold back. We did whatever we could have possibly done. So that type of contentment comes. So we have two types. Those who feel this contentment from a spiritual point of view. His mother's will. I did my best, now I'll lie in the lap of mother. And then there'll be rare types like Sri Ramakrishna. Contentment only will come with that vision of God. This is a rare type of person. For most of us, if we can reach that stage where we feel we're lying in the lap of mother, wherever she places us, we'll be content that we surrendered everything to her, now everything is in her hands. Then that'll be enough. But this comes through an effort. It comes through an intense effort. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell the story of the bird on the mast of the ship. Anybody know the story? You know that story? There was a bird who was flying near the shore, the harbor, where all the ships were waiting there, and landed on the mast of one of the ships and fell asleep. While the bird was sleeping, the ship went out to sea, and it went out so far that when the bird woke up, he couldn't see which way the land was. He couldn't see land in any direction. So the bird thought, let me fly in one direction and see if I can find the land. So the bird flew as far as it could fly and didn't see any land and thought, I better go back now. Otherwise I'll be tired, I'll fall, I'll drown, and I'll die. So it went back to the mast, then waited. Got its strength back, and flew in the other direction. Same thing happened. Did it in all four directions. Then, afterwards, landed on the mast, and with great contentment said, now, wherever the ship takes me, I'll go. I tried my best to find land, let the ship take me. If it takes me to land good, then I'll be content. So this contentment comes after we strive, after we put forth this great effort. So this is why Thakur emphasizes both sadhana and sharanagati. So these are just a few of the ideals that we have. Swamiji, as I said before, for him, unselfishness is the highest ideal. Now this is another very interesting thing. If you observe people, if you look around and observe people, it's the nice thing to do. Try to find somebody who you think is a happy person. Almost always, in my experience, you find that this is an unselfish person. I don't know of a single person, selfish person, who really has any type of happiness or contentment. They may possess a lot of things. They may have power over other people. But that real contentment, that real peace and joy won't be there. So the selflessness, learning to be unselfish, brings the greatest type of contentment. And it's good for everyone. It helps other people. We also have to be ideals for other people. And so we have these different things. Thakur left all these different types of adorsha, ideal. Be truthful. Do everything as an offering. Give up this running after enjoyment. Do everything as an offering to God. All of these different things, these are ideals. They have to be put into practice. And when we put them into practice, we find that life becomes easy. Now that doesn't mean that some magic comes and these other problems in life will disappear. They'll be there, but we'll be able to put up with them. They won't shake us the way they used to. And this horrible thing that we call restlessness of the mind, this is the real cause of suffering. The mind is restless, they're never content with anything. Always second-guessing things, and if only I'd done this, and what if I do that, and if I get this, I'll be happy. If I avoid that, that'll be good. It's all the mind. If the mind is content, then it doesn't matter. The environment. I heard this wonderful statement from Swami Atmajnananandaji. Second hit, I heard it. That he said 90% of environment is the mind. So what does that mean? That one could be locked up in a prison, and if the mind is in such a state that somebody knows that all contentment and everything is within. I can keep the mind fixed on God in prison. I can realize the higher world in prison. They'll have some contentment. Another person living in a palace with all the money and wealth and enjoyment and everything, the mind could be restless. There will be no contentment. So the environment, external environment, plays a little bit of a role, of course. But the real environment is our own mind. If we can control that mind and not control it. In meditation, no one can control the mind. Huh? It's going to run around. But control it to the extent that we're not always restless for attaining something, getting something. We always want to do better. We want to be better than the next person. We want to get this and get that. And we feel that happiness will come through external things. If we can get rid of that idea and learn true contentment comes from simple life, a dedicated life, life led trying to live up to an ideal, then we'll find this contentment comes. And then the greatest treasure, Holy Mother's right. This is the greatest treasure in life. To get that type of contentment. So I thought this would be a good thing for all of us to think about. And when we pray, we can pray. Thakur Ma, we can pray to them. Please get rid of this restlessness of the mind. Allow me to appreciate what I have and to practice a little discontentment, to look upon whatever happens as your will, and to take it as a type of grace, whatever you do, that this will be for my good, ultimately. It's a very nice type of prayer. So I also offer that prayer to Thakur Ma Swami, that his mind will cooperate with us. Because the mind is our greatest friend and it can be our worst enemy. When the mind is cooperating, then this is what saves us in life. So we have to pray, work hard, that this mind will be the best friend for us. Anybody have anything to ask?